Hello, folks. Welcome back to our Bible in a Year reading plan. I am Shanique, and thank you so much for tuning in and for joining us each and every day as we deep dive into God's Word. If you're new here, typically we have an audio Bible reading of the day's verses alongside some commentary as well. So I encourage you to listen through from the very beginning to the very end. And if you'd like to join us on this journey, you can find the printable Bible reading plan that we're currently using in the description box below. To our regular listeners, thank you so much for tuning in each and every day. We appreciate you. And if you're a new listener here, I encourage you, why don't you join us on this Bible in a Year journey? Why don't you just hit that subscribe button and join us spending time in God's Word? As a subscriber, you won't have to go searching for each and every video. It's a great way to be notified whenever a new video is released. With that being said, let's dive into some commentary for today. Now, in chapter 14, Caleb is reintroduced, right? He had been mentioned throughout the story of God's people. Caleb, he had been one of the two spies years ago who had given a good report, and he waited to receive the land God had promised to him. So here he is, now 85 years old, when we are reintroduced to him. But the constant testimony of his life is that he was a man who followed the Lord. No matter what the people around him did, Caleb was faithful to the Lord. And he's a picture of faithfulness and perseverance. God kept his promises to Caleb, and Caleb received the inheritance that he had been promised. Our God is trustworthy, and he will do what he has said that he will do. Now, the reminders of God's faithfulness throughout the biblical narrative encourages us to trust Him to provide. Specifically, they urge us to trust in His provision of the Messiah. Each step of the way, God's covenant faithfulness to the nation of Israel should have been reminding them that just as He had been faithful to His promise to Abraham to make a great nation and bring them into the land, He would be faithful to bring the promised one. And we now read the story knowing that God was indeed faithful to that promise. And how much more should we be encouraged to trust Him and, like Caleb, live lives devoted to following the Lord? So, as we dive into today's reading, I want you to be encouraged by that God is indeed faithful to His promises. With that being said, we're going to dive straight into today's audio Bible reading, which is from Joshua chapters 14 to 17, and it'll be read from the New American Standard Bible.
Joshua 14, Caleb's request. Now these are the territories which the sons of Israel inherited in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest, Joshua the son of Nun, and the heads of the fathers' households of the tribes of the sons of Israel apportioned to them as inheritances, by the lot of their inheritance, just as the Lord commanded through Moses, for the 9 tribes and the half-tribe. For Moses had given the inheritance of the 2 tribes and the half-tribe beyond the Jordan, but he did not give an inheritance to the Levites among them. For the sons of Joseph were 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim, and they did not give a portion to the Levites in the land, except cities to live in, with their pasture lands for their livestock and for their property. The sons of Israel did exactly as the Lord had commanded Moses, and they divided the land. Then the sons of Judah approached Joshua in Gilgal, and Caleb the son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite said to him, "You know the word which the Lord spoke to Moses the man of God on account of you and me in Kadesh Barnea. I was 40 years old when Moses the servant of the Lord sent me from Kadesh Barnea to spy out the land, and I brought word back to him as it was in my heart. Nevertheless, my brothers who went up with me made the heart of the people melt with fear, but I followed the Lord my God fully." So Moses swore on that day, saying, "The land on which your foot has walked shall certainly be an inheritance to you and to your children forever, because you have followed the Lord my God fully. And now behold, the Lord has let me live, just as he spoke, these 45 years, from the time that the Lord spoke this word to Moses, when Israel walked in the wilderness. And now behold, I am 85 years old today. I am still as strong today as I was on the day Moses sent me. As my strength was then, so my strength is now, for war and for going out and coming in. Now then, give me this hill country about which the Lord spoke on that day. For you heard on that day that Anakim were there, with great fortified cities. Perhaps the Lord will be with me, and I will drive them out just as the Lord has spoken. So Joshua blessed him and gave Hebron to Caleb the son of Jephunneh as an inheritance. Therefore, Hebron became the inheritance of Caleb the son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite to this day, because he followed the Lord God of Israel fully. Now the name of Hebron was previously Kiriath Arba, for Arba was the greatest man among the Anakim. Then the land was at rest from war. Joshua 15 Territory of Judah. Now the lot for the tribe of the sons of Judah, according to their families, reached the border of Edom, southward to the wilderness of Zin at the extreme south. Their southern border was from the lower end of the Salt Sea, from the bay that turns to the south. Then it proceeded southward to the ascent of Akrabim and continued to Zin, then went up by the south of Kadesh Barnea and continued to Hezron, and went up to Adar and turned to Karka. It continued to Asman and proceeded to the brook of Egypt, and the border ended at the sea. This shall be your southern border. The eastern border was the Salt Sea, as far as the mouth of the Jordan. And the border of the north side was from the bay of the sea at the mouth of the Jordan. Then the border went up to Beth Hoglah and continued on the north of Beth Araba, and the border went up to the stone of Bohan the son of Reuben. And the border went up to Debir from the valley of Acre, and turned northward toward Gilgal, which is opposite the ascent of Adumim, which is on the south of the valley, and the border continued to the waters of En-Shemesh, and it ended at En-Rogel. Then the border went up the valley of Ben-Hinnom to the slope of the Jebusite on the south, that is, Jerusalem, and the border went up to the top of the mountain, which is opposite the valley of Hinnom to the west, which is at the end of the valley of Rephaim toward the north. And from the top of the mountain the border turned to the spring of the waters of Nephtoah and proceeded to the cities of Mount Ephron. Then the border turned to Bala, that is, Kiriath Jearim. The border turned from Bala westward to Mount Seir, and continued to the slope of Mount Jearim on the north, that is, Chesalon, and went down to Beth Shemesh and continued through Timnah. Then the border proceeded to the side of Ekron northward. And the border turned to Shikkeron and continued to Mount Bala and proceeded to Jabneel, and the border ended at the sea. The western border was at the Great Sea, even its coastline. This is the border around the sons of Judah according to their families. Now he gave to Caleb the son of Jephunneh a portion among the sons of Judah, in accordance with the command of the Lord to Joshua, namely, Kiriath Arba, Arba being the father of Anak, that is, Hebron. And Caleb drove out from there the 3 sons of Anak, Sheshai, Ahiman, and Talmai, the children of Anak. Then he went up from there against the inhabitants of Debir. Now the name of Debir previously was Kiriath Sepher. And Caleb said, the one who attacks Kiriath Sepher and captures it, I will give him Achsah my daughter as a wife. Othniel the son of Kenaz, the brother of Caleb, captured it, so he gave him Achsah his daughter as a wife. And it happened that when she came to him, she incited him to ask her father for a field. So she dismounted from the donkey, and Caleb said to her, what do you want? Then she said, give me a blessing. Since you have given me the land of the Negev, give me springs of water also. So he gave her the upper springs and the lower springs. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the sons of Judah according to their families. Now the cities at the extremity of the tribe of the sons of Judah toward the border of Edom in the south were Kabzeel, Eder, and Jagur, Kena, Dimona, and Adada, Kadesh, Hazer, and Ithnin, Ziph, Telem, and Bealoth, Hazer-Hadada, Kiriath Hezron, that is, Hazer, Amam, Shema, and Malada, Hazar-Gada, Heshman, and Beth-Pelet, Hazar-Shul, Beersheba, and Biziathiah, Bala, Iim, and Ezem, Eltalad, Chesel, and Hormah, Ziklag, Madmanah, and Sansana, Leboth, Shillim, Ain, and Rimmon. In all, 29 cities with their villages. In the lowland, Eshtaol, Zorah, and Ashnah, Zanoah, and Ganim, Tapua, and Enam, Jarmuth, Adullam, Soko, and Azekah, Sharaim, Adathaim, Gedera, and Gederothaim, 14 cities with their villages. Zenon, Hadashah, and Migdal-Gad, Dilean, Mizpeh, and Joktheel, Lachish, Boscath, and Eglon, Kabon, Lamas, and Chitlish, Gederoth, Beth Dagon, Naamah, and Makkedah, 16 cities with their villages. Linnah, Ether, and Ashan, Ifta, Ashnah, and Nezib, Keilah, Aksib, and Mareshah, 9 cities with their villages. Ekron, with its towns and its villages, from Ekron even to the sea, all that were by the side of Ashdod, with their villages. Ashdod, its towns and its villages. Gaza, its towns and its villages, as far as the brook of Egypt and the great sea, even its coastline. In the hill country, Shamir, Jadar, and Soko, Danah, Kiriath-Sanah, that is, Debir, Anab, Eshtemo, Anim, Goshen, Holon, and Gilo, 11 cities with their villages. Arab, Duma, and Eshan, Janam, Beth Tapua, and Aphekah, Humta, Kiriath-Arba, that is, Hebron, and Zir, 9 cities with their villages. Maon, Carmel, Ziph, and Judah, Jezreel, Jokdeam, and Zanoah, Cain, Gibeah, and Timnah, 10 cities with their villages. Halhul, Bethzur, and Geder, Merith, Bethanoth, and Eltekon, 6 cities with their villages. Kiriath-Baal, that is, Kiriath-Jearim, and Rabbah, 2 cities with their villages. In the wilderness, Beth-Araba, Middin, and Sekaka, Nishon, the city of Salt, and Engedi, 6 cities with their villages. Now as for the Jebusites, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the sons of Judah could not drive them out, so the Jebusites live with the sons of Judah in Jerusalem to this day. Joshua's 16 territory of Ephraim. Then the lot for the sons of Joseph went from the Jordan at Jericho to the waters of Jericho on the east into the wilderness, going up from Jericho through the hill country to Bethel. It went from Bethel to Luz and continued to the border of the Archites at Adaroth. Then it went down westward to the territory of the Japhletites, as far as the territory of lower Beth Horon, even to Gezer, and it ended at the sea. The sons of Joseph, Manasseh, and Ephraim received their inheritance. Now this was the territory of the sons of Ephraim according to their families. The border of their inheritance eastward was Adaroth-Adar, as far as upper Beth Horon. Then the border went westward at Mikmethath on the north, and the border turned eastward to Tanath-Shiloh and continued beyond it to the east of Genoa. Then it went down from Genoa to Adaroth and to Nerah, then reached Jericho and came out at the Jordan. From Tapua the border continued westward to the brook of Cana, and it ended at the sea. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the sons of Ephraim according to their families, together with the cities which were set apart for the sons of Ephraim in the midst of the inheritance of the sons of Manasseh, all the cities with their villages. But they did not drive out the Canaanites who lived in Gezer, so the Canaanites live in the midst of Ephraim to this day, and they became forced laborers. Joshua's 17 territory of Manasseh. Now this was the lot for the tribe of Manasseh, for he was the firstborn of Joseph. To Machir the firstborn of Manasseh, the father of Gilead, were allotted Gilead and Bashan, because he was a man of war. So the lot was made for the rest of the sons of Manasseh according to their families, for the sons of Abiezer, the sons of Helek, the sons of Israel, the sons of Shechem, the sons of Hepher, and the sons of Shemida. These were the male descendants of Manasseh the son of Joseph according to their families. However, Zelophehad, the son of Hepher, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, had no sons, only daughters, and these are the names of his daughters: Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. They approached Eleazar the priest, Joshua the son of Nun, and the leaders, saying, "The Lord commanded Moses to give us an inheritance among our brothers." So in accordance with the command of the Lord, he gave them an inheritance among their father's brothers. So 10 portions fell to Manasseh, besides the land of Gilead and Bashan, which is beyond the Jordan, because the daughters of Manasseh received an inheritance among his sons. And the land of Gilead belonged to the rest of the sons of Manasseh. The border of Manasseh ran from Asher to Mikmethath, which was east of Shechem. Then the border went southward to the inhabitants of En Tapua. The land of Tapua belonged to Manasseh, but Tapua on the border of Manasseh belonged to the sons of Ephraim. And the border went down to the brook of Cana, southward of the brook. These cities belonged to Ephraim among the cities of Manasseh, and the border of Manasseh was on the north side of the brook, and it ended at the sea. The south side belonged to Ephraim and the north side to Manasseh, and the sea was their border, and they reached to Asher on the north and to Issachar on the east. In Issachar and in Asher, Manasseh had Beth-shean and its towns, and Ibleam and its towns, and the inhabitants of Dor and its towns, and the inhabitants of Endor and its towns, and the inhabitants of Tanakh and its towns, and the inhabitants of Megiddo and its towns. The third is Naphath. But the sons of Manasseh could not take possession of these cities, because the Canaanites persisted in living in this land. And it came about when the sons of Israel became strong, they put the Canaanites to forced labor, but they did not drive them out completely. Then the sons of Joseph spoke to Joshua, saying, "Why have you given me only one lot and one portion as an inheritance, though I am a numerous people whom the Lord has blessed up to this point?" And Joshua said to them, "If you are a numerous people, go up to the forest and clear a place for yourself there in the land of the Perizzites and of the Rephaim, since the hill country of Ephraim is too narrow for you." The sons of Joseph then said, "The hill country is not enough for us, but all the Canaanites who live in the valley land have iron chariots, both those who are in Beth-shean and its towns, and those who are in the valley of Jezreel." But Joshua spoke to the house of Joseph, to Ephraim and Manasseh, saying, "You are a numerous people and have great power. You shall not have one lot only, but the hill country shall be yours. For though it is a forest, you shall clear it, and to its farthest borders it shall be yours. For you shall drive out the Canaanites, even though they have iron chariots and though they are strong."